Evolutionary technique is changing the way our kids learn to read, and they've had some impressive results, but will it work for your children? Here are the details. Jo-Anne Dooner from Get Reading Right. Jo-Anne, good morning to you. And also good morning to Saeed. Hey, Saeed. How are you, mister?
Good.
You going all right? Aisha and Isra have with us as well to demonstrate this new reading technique. Big issue for parents. I guess you want to continue to be on top of what your kids are doing, and you want to, and everyone compares their child to their other child. But how does this method differ from the way that kids learn how to read in general practice?
I guess the first thing is that we start from 5 years old, right from the very beginning, and we teach it systematically and we teach it explicitly. So what we're doing is we're teaching children that whatever comes out of their mouth can be represented by letters, and because they can be represented by letters, then they can start to read really quickly, and better still, they can start to spell as well.
Just demonstrate for everyone at home what you mean by that. So my kids have grown up with the A, B, C, D, the alphabet like every other kid, but they've learnt the alphabet and they've learnt to read that way.
That's right.
You do it a little bit differently, and please demonstrate.
A little bit differently in that we're not really talking about the alphabet as well. We're going to talk about sounds. So we're talking about phonemes being the smallest units of sounds. So all words are made up of phonemes, and we teach children that. So, for example, I can show you with Zaid, if you like. What we would do is we would have a magnetic board like this, Zaid, and I would show him, I wouldn't let him guess, I would actually show him. I'd say, Zaid, show me this.
I'm just going to hold this up here so that we can get that shot.
All right.
So you're starting with this letter here at the end.
That's right. And I would say, Zaid, look at this one. So I would say, what's this one?
Sit.
Good boy. What's this one?
Lit.
Good boy. What's this one?
Pet.
Good. So we would go through and do all of that code, if you like. So
you don't actually learn the letters, though. It's just the sound of the letters.
That's exactly right.
And how does that help you combine the sound of those letters to form words?
Right.
What is that transition? Because
what we do is once children have learned all of these phonemes and how to represent them, then they start gluing them together to make words. So, for example, Zaid, what I could do, I can show you with one of the books as well. We have a book here.
I'll hold this
and
up.
I would then say to Zaid, I would say, what's happening here? And he would say,
That.
and we glue it together to make gap.
Okay.
Good boy. And you'll notice there's no picture of a gap there or anything like that to give away the clue. So what we're trying to do is Saeed understands that actually reading the words is what gives you the message, as opposed to reading a book, seeing a picture of a cat and then guessing the word cat.
I mean, that by itself is similar to the way that a child would learn how to say gap anyway.
That's right.
So what's different? How is this an advancement?
It's a little bit advanced because if you then go to, say, Aisha here, Aisha has a book here that we'd be learning about the phoneme E. Now, it's easy because there's only one way to write it, but if you talk something like E, then there's many ways to write E. So if you look here, for example, there's this way, so you can have 2 letters here, 2 letters here, and then 1 here and 1 here. So then the children start to learn that you combine those in different ways and they're in different positions in the word, and it's very explicit.
I mean, this is only a very rudimentary introduction to this sort of reading, but it has had tremendous success overseas.
Absolutely, absolutely. All the way through international schools in Hong Kong, Asia, all the Dulwich colleges in China. We're moving into Europe as well, and it really will be a revolution.
And at what age do kids, in your experience, have they learnt to read through this method?
Oh, 5. They should start at 5. All children, and especially boys. Watch your boys as well, and make sure they're reading by 5.
I would say though that there would be a big difference between being able to read and being able to understand. There's a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just because a 5-year-old can read doesn't mean they can understand. Is it not better to have the understanding and then the reading? Well,
if you think about reading like a code, you can't get understanding unless you've broken the code. So what we do is we teach the code, and alongside teaching the phonemes, if you like a code, you've got to teach comprehension strategies.
If it's so successful, why hasn't it been adopted here?
Well, I guess that's because there's a bit of a debate around the world about whether you should be actually teaching children a code, if you like, or a phonetic code, or whether you should be teaching, like your question, comprehension. Well, in actual fact, you should be teaching both. And what phonics does is really just a beginning. It's really just teaching children in the beginning how to read. And then, of course, as a parent, you would know that you're reading to your child in bed every night and you're teaching your child to understand books and learn about characters and to love them.
Yeah.
But it's a bit hard to love something if you're not good at it. So this is the fundamentals.
All right.
Yep, that's
very
exactly
interesting.
what it is.
Thank you, kids, for coming in. Have you had a good time? Or has it been a bit boring?
No, they've loved it.
Give me 5, Saeed. That's
Good
what I'm
job.
talking about.
Good man.
All right, let us know what you think about that. It's an interesting topic and in some sectors controversial. Today at 9.com.au. Thank you again. Lisa.